Tony D and Little Joan in the background, and this is a screenwriter's rant on 4 different trailers: Incarcerated, Survival of the Thickest, Battlefield Fall of the World, and Natty Knocks. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Check out my books. The links are in the description. Comedy horror in South Jersey. It's the Pineys, books 1 through 11, available at Amazon.com. Don't forget, Kindle Unlimited is free. I will be at LBI Book Swap tomorrow at 2 p.m. But let's get into it. 4 different trailers, 4 different reactions. First up is Incarcerated, a gritty prison drama about a woman whose father was in bed with the mob, and it was a female mobster who chased down him to his family and told him to choose either the brother or the sister, and I assume she kills the brother because it's the sister that gets herself incarcerated so she can get revenge on the woman who destroyed her family in a maximum security prison. So she's in prison. I assume she doesn't know who she is, and it's a rough go, and the guards do horrible things, and the women do horrible things to each other, and it just goes back and forth like that until she gets revenge. So it's like Oz with women. It looks just too gritty for me, too sad and gritty, but I could see, yeah, sure, maybe. Depending on, I guess the message is, revenge dooms us all. It's on Tubi, so it's free. So there's that. After being incarcerated, a woman enacts an elaborate plan of revenge on the ruthless female drug lord responsible for her family's demise. So there she is. So first act, they reenact what happened. Then there's a cutaway to 10 years later or 15 years later. She goes into prison, and you realize she's the daughter and she's about to get revenge on the drug lord. Second act, she's in prison. Everybody's against her, the guards, the other prisoners, and she's slowly, getting indoctrinated into the prison life, and it's horrible. And she finds out, who is back in who. I think the father's somehow still alive. So during the course of the movie, she creates all these machinations to get at this woman. Slowly, she starts eliminating her lieutenants, maybe, sets them up. Third act, the drug lord finds out who she is. Now they're both going at it. And the final act, I don't know. This is an independent movie. It could get darker, and then she just dies, and isn't revenge worthless? I think she probably gets revenge, but now she's trapped in prison for life, and what good did that do? Kind of thing. So I can't see it like she gets revenge and then goes on to lead a happy life. That would seem like the wrong ending. So there it is, Incarcerated. Kind of a downer of a movie, I think. Trying to be funny is the Survival of the Thickest. Yeah, it's a fat girl movie. Fat girl of color, as they say. And she's got a great life, and she's a designer, and she's married, and then comes home to her husband cheating on her. Then she gets divorced, and she has to start her life over at 38 and gets a roommate. And she's going to redo her life and be the boss this time. She's going to be the boss this time, everybody. Going to be single. She's going to have it all. She's going to have casual sex and exciting times. I don't know what's going on here. They worked in a lesbian subplot, I guess, as Survival of the Thickest. I got to admit, the name's pretty good, but July 13th, if you want to see it, it looks woke as F. Looks woke as F. But, maybe this is the audience for this particular movie. A small audience, but some kind of audience. But it doesn't look very good to me. I wouldn't watch it. First act, she builds a life with her husband. He cheats on her. She ends up single. Second act, She's down in the dumps, starting her life over. It's really hard. Oh, yeah, living in the first world. So hard. So hard to be a single woman who's fat and black and doesn't have any prospects, except in this movie she has all the prospects in the world and becomes like a famous designer or something. Third act, the husband comes back and offers to help her, and she turns him down and says, I don't need you anymore. I don't need no man. And it all works out for her. That's guarantee. So yeah, I wouldn't see this movie if you paid me. Battlefield: Fall of the World. This appears to be a Chinese flick. The communist actually probably did something smart for making a movie. Aliens invade the Earth, and the Chinese lead the fight. See that you could do an exciting story without working in the communism and oppression. So they have to find this deserter who can lead them back into the cities to fight the aliens and get into their, I don't know, their secret hideout, and then they do, and probably a lot of them sacrifice themselves in order to kill all the aliens at the end. So yeah, there's the alien. I have a feeling, well, first off, it's subtitled. Not a huge fan of that. I have a feeling this is going to be a pretty bare bones plot. First act, they set up the alien invasion, and the guy deserting, quote unquote. And then second act, they have to find the deserter and convince him to guide them back to wherever the aliens are. Third, they fight their way to the aliens. Third act, they get to the ship, and they fight aliens in the ship, and then they come up with some plan to blow it up and save the day, and communism returns to Earth, or something like that. No, I wouldn't see this because it appears to be made by the communist Chinese, so I don't really want to support that. Finally, there's Natty Knocks, directed by the guy who made Halloween 4, from the director of Halloween 4, and Robert Englund is in it, and it's about a serial killer or version of Jason or Mike Myers called Natty, and Natty knocks 9 times, and there's some sort of crazy rhyme, and he shows up on Halloween and he murders everybody. So it just appears to be a different version of Michael Myers, except he's called Natty and there's a rhyme, and it's got all the horror tropes, right? I guess that's Natty. I don't know. Don't really get a clear image of who he is. I guess maybe that's him. Yeah, it just looks like a knockoff of Halloween. I guess that's him. I don't know. They don't really make it clear. There's a lot of screaming, people using weapons, blood splatter, and fire, and screaming, and Robert Englund looking, that's, Natty, he's coming. I guess. So I think it's just going to be your standard slasher movie. First act, somebody's killed, and people are concerned. Has Natty returned? Second act, somehow a high school's involved. There's always a high school, and none of the high school students believe it until one of their own dies horribly, and then they're the only ones that believe it. And they're trying to warn everybody. Nobody listens. This is through the second act. Through the second act, Natty starts slowly appearing more and more. Eventually, slowly, people get spun up. Oh my God, he's real. By the third act, they're banding together to fight him, although many of their numbers have been killed. And there's a big battle between Natty and the cops and high school students and Freddy Krueger, and they win for now. And Natty will return in Natty Knocks 2. Boy, so which one of these would I watch? This is a really tough one, because they're They're all pretty. They're not great. They're not great. I mean, Natty Knocks is clearly, to me, it should be called Natty Knockoff because it's clearly, to me, a knockoff of Halloween. Um, it could be good, but I kind of doubt it. Looks like the same old horror tropes. Incarcerated looks appropriately gritty, but I don't know, it's just so dark. I don't see any way this movie can end positively. I mean, I guess if you like something that dark, it would be good. Seems to be okay made. This is absolute, oh God, no. No, no, no. This has probably got the biggest budget. But it looks absolutely woke-tarded. Doesn't look funny at all. It just looks full of virtue signaling. Oh, you go, girl. Kind of stuff. And this movie would normally be right up my alley, but I can't support the Chinese communist. And it doesn't look very good. Looks like they spent a little bit of money on the CGI for China. For Chinese production, this is probably very high end. But, yeah, it just it doesn't have much of a story. It's a little threadbare in the trailer here. So I'd have to put this one on the bottom. Then third, Survival of the Thickest. Between this and Survival of the Thickest, I would have to watch that because at least it's American made, even though it looks terrible. So that really leaves Incarcerated or Natty Knocks. Well, Incarcerated is going to be a downer, although I suspect it's slightly more well made. I mean, depending on my mood, I'd probably, if I was in the right mood, I could watch Incarcerated, but I'd probably have to go with Natty Knocks, only because at least it's going to be stupid and fun in a sick, stupid way. You know, I don't think it's going to be good either. I don't think any of these movies are going to be good. Maybe Incarcerated. Incarcerated, there's a tiny chance it's a diamond in the rough and it's amazing. That it's the most amazing movie ever, but I don't think so. Just feels like a B movie that you would see, about revenge. And normally it's all full of guys, but this time it'll be all full of women. Might be some nudity in it, but it won't even be enjoyable because it'll be so depressing and ominous. This movie, maybe there's a shot at a couple of fun scenes before Natty shows up and kills everybody. Maybe. It's just, you can see why I combined these all four into one trailer. They're just, together, I don't know, they're just not worth anything. Like, this is what's coming out. They just keep making these movies, and they're either so dour and depressing, or they're just so woke, and you can tell the ones that have money. The Survival of the Thickest got all the money. The rest of the movies, they just pulled together as best they could with the money they had. Now, the Chinese one probably cost way too much money, but it's Chinese money, and they devalue their currency, so who the hell knows? Plus, half this cast could be out of a gulag, been forced to be in it. Imagine that. Imagine being forced to be in a movie. A terrible movie. Man, if I had to be forced into one of these movies, which one? Probably Natty Knocks. Yeah. Probably. I'd be the guy at the bookstore who knew the historical background of Natty and how it all happened, and then I get murdered sometime around the second act, and they find my body, but they think it was a robbery gone wrong, something like that. But yeah, not a lot of great movies coming out this summer. Anyhow, that's it for me, Tony D and Little Joan. Check us out on Odysee, Bitchute, and Rumble for our more base takes. I will be at the LBI Book Swap tomorrow at 2 p.m. for the book signing. Hope to see you there, and we'll see you